Make yourself a household name. Get yourself to the World Championships, perform at your very best, and become a world champion. Both these teams, Johnny, have waited all year long for this very moment. Now it's all about who can step up.
And SMPR certainly did step up in the wildcard stage. It's got us wondering, how far can that run continue? They're undefeated on this current stage. We're going to be staying where we were for wildcard. That's a bit of a mistouch from Shawset. Get the back ball quite right. Good patience from Exalted. He's able to dart past two there. Endpoint coming in the underdogs despite being the higher seeded EU team. SMPR's form has been noticeable. Should that continue, Endpoint could be in a world of trouble. Oh, already the Archie with a big chance, but Cassio's in the perfect spot to take that ball to safety.
Brilliant by Castillo, just to wait for his moment. It's absolutely heartwarming just to hear another Metz-Norris chant before we even got to the live games today, as Metzer now looks to try and set up. This is the best chance we're gonna get! A relaying wave makes the most of it!
Air dribble step from Metzer. Shawset with the mistake on the back wall. He didn't read the downward bounce. Relating wave there just in case. Shawset got it wrong. 1-0 Endpoint. SMPR have rallied back several times in the wildcard event. Definitely not worried about them just yet. Endpoint looked pretty quick though. I think it's all about that Metz-Norris and relating wave synergy. If they can play aggressively, then Archie's going to feel comfortable. He prefers to back up the team. This different Endpoint from when Seiko was in the roster.
It's also a brand new position there for Metzer, who has typically been that backup for the vast majority of the teams that he has been on.
And Wave as well.
Yeah, it's everyone trying to find comfort in new positions and in new challenges. As here we go, Metzer!
Oh.
Couldn't turn the car around in time to find the angle. But this is the player I think most people have got their eyes on. Shawset looked back to form. Now, after a few days off, is he still in that form?
Well, he had a chat with Yummy Cheeseman this morning, and he said he's bringing back Valencia, DreamHack Valencia Shawset. And DreamHack Valencia Shawset was the best player in the world, with no debate. He can keep that statement true, then this is going to be quite the show today. But as of yet, it's been Endpoint who are pressing, Endpoint who have looked more ready for game number one.
Endpoint have had time to find some new strategies between now and London, as that one just sails over the top of the bar. Reminder for those of you that are joining us for your first ever Rocket League event. Firstly, welcome. Secondly, this is best of 7. Both teams do have access to a timeout, and whoever loses this, not out of the tournament yet, but your run significantly more difficult.
Yeah, anyone who loses the first 3 days, we'll have to wait until that Friday to play again, where we're going to get all of those lower round 1 matches played from both groups. That's not where you want to be. You've got to try and get the momentum going. Endpoint SMPR knew that they were playing today. This is the only match that they're going to have, so they put all their focus into preparing for each other, and that is something that Endpoint have done well all season long. When they know who they're about to play, they're good at making plans to counter-punch. Almost another goal here is Archie and a gap in the near post.
Castillo trying to find some way into the blue side of the field. For SMPR, it has been relatively difficult to do, as Castillo almost finds some way to forget the shot on target. But I do love that you bring up the point that this is a day where everybody gets to prepare for their opponents. That's not been how the whole season has been. You've had to get yourself ready for 2-3 matches per day. Swiss, single elimination knockout, double elimination. You haven't really had tournaments where you have one opponent per day ever since we were in the league play. All those seasons, even years ago at this point. This has been the big test not only for the players, but for the coaches. See whether or not they can get their team all prepared, as Metzer almost finds a block. Blatant wave, pops the ball up high. SMPR have run out of time here. Just over a minute left. Have not had a single good look at net. This is going to be even worse for them if there's a follow-up from Blatant Wave. Thankfully for them, there is none. Blatant Wave back to the infield. Archie doesn't find the block. Good chance here for SMPR to try and counter-attack, but they are far too slow in the midfield. Endpoint have got them covered and almost turn that into a 2-goal lead.
Yeah, Endpoint are challenging brilliantly at the moment. For the most part, it's been an exceptionally well-defended game, and that's had been a high defensive line, not the Endpoint sitting back and waiting for their opponents to come to them. They're really taking the fight to SMPR here. when they've had to cover back wall, when they've had to cover passes, they've done well. Look at that. Clear from Messinoris, picking out his teammate down the line. Here you see Lightning Wave forcing the issue. Archie's ready to move in immediately. They're following up each other brilliantly here. Only seen, I think, one double commit from Endpoint. Really tell their communication's on point.
Hitting the ball with intent. They're 20 seconds away. Infield pass. Castillo not quick enough. Coast to coast. Endpoint double it.
It's a quick interception from Relating Wave. Look at how early he got up to that one. He saw exactly what SMPR had planned. And that is by passing to your last man can be dangerous. Endpoint just need a solid kickoff here. That's not been a given as of late in Pro Rocket League, but that one will do. SMPR are going to be trailing 1-0 to their European rivals.
That extra touch just sort of capitulates what this match has been for SMPR. They tried, nothing came even close to working. SMPR 0,
okay.
Endpoint 2, and Archie is playing with his food. They might even get an extra shot at Endpoint, proving that they deserve their main event spot.
Archie forever the showman. Keeps the ball in the air for no reason other than to get his team another goal, pad those stats a little bit. What a game from Endpoint, what a statement. We're wondering, coming out of a wild card, the likes of which we've just seen, how much of an advantage would those teams have who have had many games on this stage? They've been here, they've been practicing. Well, Endpoint ready to shut all of that down with a very, very strong game one. Just like SMPR didn't really expect Endpoint to come at them the way they did. I mean, Endpoint in previous lands, they usually have one player who's not shown up perfectly, but they were really all on point today. Archie almost opened the scoring early on with a double tap. Metsinoris forces a mistake from Shawset to get them the first goal. From there, it was all Endpoint.
It was just a world-class performance. Endpoint, as good as we have seen them all season long. And for Archie, that's got to feel so good. You want to prove to not only yourself, but to everybody out there, I made the right decision. If he keeps this up, he certainly did.
Yeah, that's the other crazy storyline, is that Archie is playing against his old team. And if he can't get the win, then he's going to be hurting a lot more than anyone else taking an L today, although I say that.
That's the narrowest wave I've ever seen. They've
not
got no room for error on that whatsoever.
I mean, they've done well. They've managed to really pull together here. Who would have thought? An all-European matchup in Texas in the morning. And everybody's going crazy. They've been fantastic all week.
It has really had that back to roots feel that we've had in this room. But it's only going to get better. Join us Friday especially. We are going in and we are 13,000 strong. That is going to be so loud. I'm looking forward to everyone.
Oh!
SMPR needed that in a big way.
And it's the hype man Castillo as well. Broke free from the midfield and slots the double tap as close to the net as he could. He wants to be hitting that one as early as possible. You can see that there's an Endpoint player coming on the back wall to intercept him should he take too long to get that rebound on target. Didn't take long for SMPR to punish just one small mistake from Endpoint. Can they make up for it? Yes, they can. A little bit of space in the final third for Archie. Relating Wave picks them out in the middle.
That's not just taking the wind out of the sails, that's just unfurling them entirely. Endpoint straight over to the talisman, the person that they took away from SMPR. Archie believes that he can be one of the best players in the world. Keep playing like that, we'll all start to believe you very quickly. Exotic to the corner, gets clattered into, so a follow-up from him.
Oh my
Archie,
goodness.
oh, he's got a second touch.
What?
That not quite. Ran out of boost. But that is the way Archie has played the entire time. It has just been off the wall, second touch. Dare you to come and try and take this ball off him as they went once again to the infield pass. And Endpoint have gone for it quite often. Probably the most success we have seen from infield passing plays across the entire tournament. Lightning Wave had to be very aware of that one.
That's a fantastic save. Endpoint still playing with that same pace that they started off the series with. SMPR have definitely started to come out and fight them for that midfield. don't want to get stuck in the corner against Endpoint, who have got a great rotation going. Norris getting a bit bullied here. Relate Wave's the only player with boost, but Archie stays on the ball. Even though he doesn't have any boost here, he's still able to make contact. Buys time for his teammates behind him. Relate Wave calls him off the play. Endpoint continue to defend the Semper push. Don't forget as well, Endpoint just ended their 11-game loss streak on LAN. Coming out of the previous 2 LANs, LA Major and London combined. Things are not going well for them. 11 straight losses in games. Well, now finally they can get rid of that one. Focus on the task ahead.
Maybe a little bit of a motivational push as well for a BDS that we're going to see later on today as Josette. First one off the backboard. 2 on Semper. And this has been the response that you want after the way they lost game number 1, Johnny. They are fighting back and they are finding angles.
Yeah, just a routine goal there for Semper, centering the ball to the back post. Awkward for Endpoint to challenge. Endpoint getting in each other's way a little bit. That's something we haven't seen too often, but there have been 1 or 2 moments where 2 players get close and personal. I think that's something they're trying to do. They're trying to quickly follow up on each other's touches, play with that confidence, which is great to see from a team who have lacked confidence at previous LANs this year. But they've got to be careful. Any small mistakes, Semper are going to be there to punish it. Again, Messinors has to dive in the way of an incoming shot. An improved Semper for game 2. Endpoint definitely woke up on the right side of the bed, but now Semper starting to apply the squeeze.
They have plenty of time to work with. 2.5 minutes on the clock. Only 1 goal needed to be found. Endpoint was scoring for fun at the end of the last game. Might get worse for them though. What a shot! Exotic finds the bottom corner.
Chaussette said he's bringing back Valencia Chaussette. Well, that reminded me of it. Just a Fennec darting down the line, centering the ball for a teammate, making everyone on the opposing lineup feel uncomfortable. It's been simple from Semper all week long. Wildcard and now the main event as well. You're just playing solid Rocket League. It's working really well for them. This is a team who haven't had recent performances online to write home about. Now it's all coming together when it matters most.
Lane Wave tasked with at least trying to get rid of Chaussette. That doesn't quite work. Chaussette follows it. Almost very careless there from Endpoint. Exotic. Just watches the ball go skying past him, but Archie's loitering around. Pass over to Relating Wave, just a little bit too far ahead of him. He still goes for the setup.
Oh, wow.
Follow up. Endpoint will send the house and get the goal.
Look at this team play from Endpoint. 1-2 from Archie Relating Wave. Backboard for Metza. That's the aggression that Endpoint have often lacked, especially with Archie on the roster. It took them a while to adapt to him as a new player, but as you can see, when all 3 players are attacking in unison, they can definitely make it work. Norris and Relating Wave, who have had some shaky LAN performances, so far looking good at the World Championship.
Pop up from Castillo. He's not going to have any support for a while yet. Especially with Endpoint being so adamant about taking out every single player. Metza, can he get the second touch? Yes, he can. Straight over to Relating Wave.
Believe this.
1 goal still between these 2 teams. A must win, I feel, here for Semper. Getting back from these 2-game deficits has been so difficult for everybody throughout the last week. Exotic over the top of 1. Can he get the block on Archie? That is so crucial for Endpoint's game.
That's a great dodge there from Archie to stay alive and then keep the ball away from danger. Tasked with a lot there. Save, clear, dodge the demo. He does it all.
So, right back to square one for Endpoint. 40 seconds on the clock now. Relating Wave, he might have some options around him. Instead, goes off the wall. He fakes out Castillo. Infield to Metza! Oh! It was never going to be that easy!
Oh, what a play by Relating Wave. Messinors dunks it over the line. A strong 50-50 with the Semper goalkeeper, but Relating Wave faking the wall play, completely outplayed the second man of Semper. Left the infield wide open.
Bamboozled, confused, and simply outclassed. Relating Wave, he's still around. A real thorn in the side of Semper's defense, who are starting to realize that none of this is going to come for free. Metza fakes the first challenge, heads on back. Passing plays from Semper have been, Endpoint has been so good. Semper now need a some way to bite back into this. Is it going to require overtime? Are they even going to make it to overtime? Endpoint scored it 0 seconds last time around. Not going to get it this time around. Overtime, and a huge one of that.
And the kickoff has gone fairly even. Shelset's first to this. That's a good save by Archie, but not the best clear. Endpoint here to help out. Are they going to be able to snatch another one? Yes, they are. They're just hanging on here as SMPR start to come for them again. But now some space, and another one of those wall fakes from Lightwave. He's chipping the ball in field to himself quite brilliantly. Exotic's coming through here. 1v1 with Archie, and he goes right through him.
Utter brilliance. Exotic against Archie. The matchup of the day. The player that left versus the player that replaced him. And SMPR, on this occasion, get the better of that exchange. One each. And both teams have come to play at the World Championships.
And no sweep today. We've had a lot of them.
I was done with them. It was like London. Get them out of the way, get to the main event, and have some real bangers of games to start us off.
Yeah, I've got a sneaky suspicion we're not going to see as many sweeps in the main event. More experienced teams. Just that maximum quality of competition. You know, I called it a 1v1 there. It's more of a 2v1 at the end there. Shelset really putting pressure on Archie, forcing him to jump. And as soon as Exotic saw the jump, he just goes underneath. And that was the pre-jump from Archie. After actually dodging a demo by not really doing anything. He just sat still, waited for it to go past him. It's still a solid game for Endpoint for the most part. A big step-up game for SMPR. Game really hangs in the balance now. Endpoint have shown that they are going to be here to play. And it's against a team who have dominated in the wildcard and really stepped up significantly. Well, Endpoint needed to step up. If we saw the same Endpoint that we saw in LA, the same Endpoint we saw in London, I don't think they'd be on SMPR's level this week, but Endpoint have figured out how to perform in this setting.
This crowd already getting loud. It's very early on in the day as well, so fair play to them. 5 minutes before we get to find out who will hold the advantage in this series. And it might be Metzer! Hits the crossbar instead. Exotic Catastrophe just finding a way out of this side of the field. Good block from him, and that's going to make life very difficult for Lightwave. Set. Can't find it. Casio cuts infield. I think it's starting to realize how dangerous that is. That shot finds the bottom corner. And Exotic finish the last game, starts this one.
Exotic's speed is really causing problems. Archie bumped off the play. Exotic beats Metsonoris to the ball. Let's see how Endpoint respond to this pace from SMPR. If Exotic can continue this level of display that we're currently seeing, he will be a problem. He has been a problem. He's been the best player for SMPR since he joined the team. Anyone who's followed this guy's career knew that it was only a matter of time before Exotic landed himself on a successful roster. Qualifying for RLCS. Oh, that's a great read by Relating Wave. All the way back in Season 9. He made it through the promotion relegation tournament before we opened up to the year-long circuit. Now Exotic starting to shine.
Wipes that. Oh, that's off the post. And a delayed shot from Chaussette.
Warning signs for Endpoint. Relating Wave takes far too long to get the ball rolling there. And Archie and Metsonoris getting each other's way. Really, Relating Wave's got to do better there. He's got to know that somebody's going to come behind and demo him. He needs to get the ball moving. Has to force a 50-50. But well done, SMPR, to get rid of him. They create a chance on net. Now, Endpoint go the other way. Trying to keep this one alive. Archie actually tries to pull shot Metza into the ball. Bumped each other a few times this game already.
Do go back down the line. Chaussette, wait a minute here.
Oh.
It's in no man's land.
Well, that was a lot easier than Endpoint probably expected.
Oh, he's going in circles.
Chaussette thought that someone would have a 50-50 there. There were two of his teammates next to the ball, but neither one of them intended to really go for it in a hurry. Chaussette not reading the threat early enough. He's way off his line, thought that he was not needed in defense. Turns out he was, so careless defense by both teams in Game 3.
It's off the backboard yet again. I don't think Endpoint are hitting the ball quite as clean as they necessarily were in the last few games. Need to really pick that one back up.
Whoa!
Couple of bumps. Shot not finding the target. Archie misses the ball. Low boost on SMPR as a whole. Best that they've got is 23. Shot set, reboost back up. It'll be up to him then to play this, and he's done exactly that. Shot attack! Would have been a bit high, but Metzer had to make sure that that one was going away from the net. It's SMPR looking to swarm at this point at 3 minutes. They might be able to add one extra to their lead. Exotic offering some support to Casio. He might not need it! As Archie finds the ball, gets rid of it, but SMPR, this is the best run that they have had in quite some time, and it might go against them as Exotic will be there just in time.
Endpoint have got to be careful here. They are conceding possession a bit easily here. You know, they're attempting hard clears, and these aren't hard clears. These are just passes to the other team. SMPR collect the ball many, many times in Game 3 from an attempted clear that Endpoint have sent towards them. It might be time for Endpoint to try and control the ball in the midfield a bit more. They're rushing everything this series as Messinoris now panic flips. See the pressure starting to get to them. SMPR's deep defensive line is starting to work out quite well. They're catching every hard clear. They're ready for every offensive move that Endpoint make. It's up to Endpoint to try and draw SMPR in, switch the pace for a minute, and then hit them again. Hold on a second. 3 SMPR players in the area. Messinoris ignores every single one of them and scores the rebound.
Miss. Not quite what you're after from SMPR. And they've handed Endpoint away back into this game. SMPR 2, Endpoint 2. Series advantage on the line here. Delay from Casio. Couldn't find the reset shot. As far as Metzer. Good block from him. The path of Casio. Exotic into the corner. Will Casio have it be in the midfield? Instead, he goes for Exotic. Josette finds himself too far forward to really power on the pressure. Metzer's actually around, chooses better of the jump up, realized that if that was taken away from him, his team was in big trouble infield. Is that one going to bounce out? Casio will not have many infield options, doesn't get the chance to do it anyway, as relating wave. Gets with the pressure at least for now, but also the passing option. Instead wipes out the goalkeeper. There's Casio, he's being pressured, he gets away from it. Now we break away to the opposite side of the field. Casio not quick enough, but Exotic is! And relating wave finds the top corner, makes sure the car is there.
Defense stepping up for both teams. We've seen some cheap goals in this game, but now harder to come by. Messinoris tries to center. Denied. Back wall remains covered. Infield is pressured. Goal is covered as well. SMPR just trying to spread the tasks between them. Can Endpoint find a way through?
What you want to see from Archie. Just stay around, cut rotation, get in the way. Here we go, shot! Oh, what a save by Exotic. Josette has enough boost. This is Valencia's Josette. This is what he did all the time. So clean with the transition game. Lanewave cannot afford a slight misstep with that touch. Provided somewhat well. Have we got another overtime? The first game was all Endpoint. Everything since then has been a nail-biter. Second overtime. Who is getting their second win?
It's a good start for Endpoint. Archie's got a shot off the kickoff. It will be saved by Josette. Power's tough to generate. Exotic the other way. Can't catch up to the ball. Casio actually hits the sideways shot by mistake as well. So overtime still a bit chaotic. The low 50-50 works out well for SMPR. This is how they won on Aquadome. Doesn't lead to a goal this time around.
Josette, the faster of the two players. Casio on the wall, takes his time over the top of one, blocks a second. Now SMPR are holding all the cards. Exotic might have wanted that one to be infield to him, just a little bit too much work to do to get it over there though. SMPR are swarming everywhere. Casio back to the corner, realized he didn't have a passing option around, but Exotic might be able to do exactly that. Keep an eye on boost amounts now for Endpoint. It is so crucial. If they can't get rid of it, they at least keep up the 100 boost. Do decide to do the former. Archie with nobody around. Exotic knows exactly that. His passing plays aren't working anymore, however. Endpoint, see the passing options, see the angles, and making sure that they can intercept.
Yeah, like you mentioned though, boost has been a bit of a tough thing to come by for Endpoint. Now finally they get some hundreds. For quite an extended period of time, they just had boost on one player at a time there. It's really hard to commit to any kind of offensive drive if you don't have boost to work with. It's a big part of staying composed in this high pressure environment. It's just not using boost when you know you're not going to get more anytime soon.
Castillo delays. Tim and Exotic in the same position. Thankfully, they do communicate who wants it. Almost 2 minutes in now to this overtime. Well set. Back into the midfield. Demo as well. Can they turn on it? Archie tries to keep it going. Metzer called off by Relating Wave. Defensively, both teams exceptionally sound. Is now finding a way to break through the opposing team's brick wall. That actually might be quite enticing for Castillo, but he's beaten to it. Now it becomes a scramble to the opposite side of the field. And SMPR are the quicker of the two.
Well dealt with, great read defense by Exotic. Endpoint finished off regulation time with a flurry of demo attempts, and since then, they've gone back to quite a clean standard rotation, something that worked well for them in game 1 of the series. Interested to see if they try any more physical plays. It really didn't look like SMPR were too comfortable dealing with it, even though they did survive and make it into OT.
Good challenge from Archie. He does fancy it, but the bounce does not agree with him. And Relating Wave, that is so brave. Realized he was the final player back. Decided that I would rather not deal with the 2v1. Not deal with the oncoming challenge. Archie called into action yet again. Metzer off the corner. Try to find a defender. Both teams are not only doing such a great job of playing the ball, but also keeping an eye out for the opposing players that are trying to wipe them out, make their lives significantly easier on the offensive side. It's just a bit of a testing one there from Metzer. And actually, that's quite awkward, and it starts to dip down before your half volley on the backboard. It can get very difficult to play, but that is a wasted shot, Johnny, and you don't look too happy about that.
You know, it was a perfect moment for a demo, so is this, but shot set, didn't have to worry about one. Just focused on the save. I think a couple of moments here, Endpoint have had an opportunity to demo, but they're prioritizing quick rotations back to the midfield. You know, that really shows to me that they're worried about losing this overtime on a counter-attack. They're not willing to go completely all in. When SMPR are defending like this, I think you have to try. You've got to put pressure on that goalkeeper off the ball.
The stakes are this high, though, it can be so difficult just to convince yourself to go for that one big play, because if it goes wrong, a lot goes wrong. Here's Exotic! Oh! Brace for Exotic! SMPR have got overtime!
That's a great finish by Exotic. Underneath Archie, who was trying to guess which direction this rebound was going to head. And he guessed wrong. Thought Exotic, with that quick approach to the backboard, would spike the ball straight into the net with no bounce. I mean, that was a fast approach from Exotic to come into that one. The fact that he slowed down the shot completely caught Archie off guard. He gets yet another overtime winner for his team. Last time, it was a ground play. This time, it's an aerial play. And you can tell that Endpoint just were not ready for that burst of pace. Exotic's been the difference. SMPR, at the moment, continuing that run that they've started in Wildcard. Can they go 4 straight wins? And the world, when you combine the two events together, what a goal by Exotic. And that finish has prompted a timeout from Endpoint already.
Yeah, very rare, actually, that we see the 2-1 timeout, but I think Endpoint have realized that, yes, game 1 could have gone better. They'll know exactly that, but ever since then, SMPR have switched it on, they've figured everything out. And for SMPR, I also want to talk about how important it was that they did win that overtime, because despite how good they were in it, there was quite the misplay that actually sent us into that overtime. So they'll be happy now to put that into the back of their mind, move forwards.
Yeah, definitely a lot of careless defending at the start of game 3. Endpoint didn't do too well to concede 2 goals early. that SMPR kind of threw away the lead a little bit. They definitely want to make Endpoint work harder for their goals. But you can clearly see in overtime, Endpoint were not as happy to sit upfield, provide a passing option, to provide some off-the-ball pressure onto SMPR. They were all darting back into the midfield, trying to play a clean, fast rotation and just reliably win the games. If you do go for an all-in play and it doesn't work, you're in trouble on the counter-attack. There's no denying that. Same time, I would love to see just just one drive past the goal line. If a shot might be coming, just give it one second extra on the rotation to get back, just to go out your way and hunt that goalkeeper down.
I love hearing that in the background. And we do thank all of you so much. It is going to be a long, hectic, and quite frankly, brilliant week of Rocket League. You guys hear all the heart and soul of it. Let's get ourselves into game number 4. Have Endpoint found something to utilize in that timeout? Or are SMPR simply too good? Game number 4 underway.
Well, SMPR try to get the ball to Casio in the back corner, and they do get the ball to Casio in the back corner by intentionally losing the kickoff. Endpoint are able to work with this though, because it looked like Casio couldn't really control the ball when it came towards him. It was on the wrong side. Going to be looking at kickoffs under a microscope here today. Oh, what a fake. Metza didn't have too many options here. As he turned around, he was pretty limited with boost and momentum. Oh, it looked like Chaussette was keeping an eye on Archie as well, who was flying it a bit more quickly for that one. Called the mind game. Metza Norris had the same idea, and all ready to get the first goal.
Maybe if we rewind it back a little bit on that play, the bump is what opened it up for Metza, who has the vast majority of the Endpoint goals. He has been the offensive focal point. He's been providing in that regard. Archie now, looking to try and make it 2, pops the ball away. Chaussette, only as far as relating waves, sees the option and Casio missed it! And Archie will clean up.
What an approach from Archie. Takes the boost from the back corner, darts back in. No chance for SMPR to react to that kind of pass. It's less telegraphed than some of the other passes both teams are attempting at the end of game number 3. Much more quick as well with the first touch. So I'd love to see more of that from both teams. Quick fire passing, less telegraphed. Like we keep mentioning, physical play from Endpoint. Are they going to go for that? I think it's an option that would work well for them. They've got a team who are quite comfortable defending solo, and you've got Relating Wave and Archie on the roster. Don't need to dart back too quickly. Endpoint look for a third. Archie's all alone here in offense.
Archie maybe even outperforming what his own teammates' expectations were. Relating Wave once again in the midfield. It's been him and Relating and Archie that have just been switching who is going to be the target man in the midfield and just disrupt SMPR when they try and recycle the play. As Exotic sees Chaussette, isn't going to find him, but Casio even further away becomes the player to take control of it. 3 minutes. Where SMPR find themselves quite significantly behind already. Are we going to see a repeat of game number 1? Casio, good block. Brings it to Chaussette, but that's a bit wasted. Archie would have actually been quite disappointed with the way that he controlled that one.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a gimme, and SMPR almost able to recycle possession for a second time. Instead, they've had to go back to their own back corner. Archie waits. Good challenge. Metza realizes nobody else is around. I might as well just disrupt the play even more.
Yeah, Endpoint, they'll be just trying to close out this game without any more defensive mistakes. They don't need to make one here though. Casio fires for SMPR, and that was all from a great pass from Chaussette. Just lofts it up in the air. Relating Wave can't get there. That's the key for SMPR there. It's not overhitting the pass too much. Keep it close. Don't give Endpoint a chance to close the distance. Relating Wave tried, couldn't get there.
I think as well, Johnny, when we were talking about how fundamentally sound SMPR have been throughout the last week or so, a lot of people might hear that and think, oh, just strong rotations, send people back, always make sure there's a third man. That's not necessarily been the case, though. SMPR have been exceptionally good at understanding when to pull the trigger and send all 3 for it. That last goal being prime example It's been exceptional at just decision-making, making sure that they know this is the one we're going to score from, and we can now send the whole house as, well, Endpoint putting the pressure back on.
I like to see that they are sticking around just a little bit here to try and cause some chaos before leaving. Chaussette the only player with boost at the moment. Exotic just goes straight for the ball. That's exactly what Chaussette wanted. One of his teammates has ball pressure, forces a touch, and he can use his boost that he's got to follow up on their play. If you switch the roles, it's very hard for a zero boost player to follow up on a forced 50-50, so good management, good communication by SMPR there. Exotic knowing that when he doesn't have boost, he can just stay on the ball, make life for Chaussette as easy as possible.
What a hit that is. Metzer again has to control the ball on its way back down to the floor. Castillo piped out mid-air, but it is Exotic that scored the boost. He's the one at the back. Castillo to Chaussette, back to Castillo!
Oh! Well. I thought that was a bit of a clear pass in field. I'm not sure what Metzer thought was going to happen, but he drove into no man's land. The ball goes right past him, and of course SMPR are going to score from that range. I mean, with the momentum Chaussette had in the air, there's no way he's shooting that. Well, if he is, it should be saveables. I don't know why Endpoint have failed to cover that pass. It was, for me, the only play SMPR were ever going to make from that position.
At the moment, we're heading towards another overtime, our third in a row. Unless somebody here has just got that spark of magic required. It might be Archie. He's called off it. And Metzer had quite the amount of players around him, making sure that he was not going to be able to turn that one on target. Still, Endpoint in a great position to keep the offense on board. Right in wave, challenge in the midfield. Exotic has to rotate back. Well played there from Chaussette. Did not just wander out of place. Realized what his task was.
Whoa!
That hits the crossbar. Castillo doesn't panic. Realized which way it was going to go and then hooked back in to make sure it got into the corner, but SMPR are well against it. Archie now up against Castillo. Doesn't want to head it over towards the corner. Realized Castillo would have probably had him covered. Now becomes Metzer, back to Archie. This is what Endpoint have continuously done so well. This is how they get the transition game going. Relating wave is going to drop down,
wow.
but because of the bump on Metzer, no way to finish it.
Well, moments ago, Exotic cuts off an infield pass. Now he bumps the third man who was looking to get up and rebound a winner for Endpoint. Huge defensive plays from an active Exotic, but Endpoint still piling on the pressure.
Exotic, will he accept overtime? They don't want to. SMPR put the ball long, and Endpoint forced to concede that they want golden goal. Third time in a row, SMPR have won both of them. Can they get the hat trick?
Already Exotic with a chance. Metzer stays on him though. Once again, it's been that theme of this game, this low boost ball pressure. Metzer just staying on it, not giving Exotic a free touch. Making his goalkeeper all that happier. Relinquished the game here. That's a free shot. It's just not going to make it through though. Follow-up is there, but that's also going to be defended by Endpoint.
Relating wave on the transition. Chooses boost, choose to try and get rid of Exotic, but that second part doesn't quite work out. Good bump as well, gives Archie a free hit. Chaussette, that's an awkward angle, brings Archie back in, he goes for the net. And Castillo with the wherewithal, now off the backboard one more time, terminating wave, what a save! Castillo jumps, hopes, makes contact, there they go, and it's a second beautiful stop.
Exotic's the only player with 100 boost at the moment. Castillo's got 0, but he manages to make a key touch. Endpoint know they've got SMPR on the ropes. It looks like SMPR have survived. The attack fizzles out.
That was Endpoint's golden opportunity. Metzer can't afford.
Whoa!
And not for the first time. Metzer caught sleeping.
Oh my goodness. Well, Metzer didn't have a lot of boost. He thought he could get up quickly enough to deflect that ball over the bar or into the corner, but when you're that far off the line and you don't have a lot of boost to quickly turn around and cover a long shot, you need to make the touch, and Metzer doesn't make contact. A couple of extremely poor plays from the veteran in this game alone. The equalizer was also an infield pass that he must see at this level. He did not see it. Gave SMPR the pretty easy equalizer. We hopefully can see it again on the replay here. After such a great start, Endpoint call a timeout. They come back, and then they just let it drop. The first goal, fair enough. SMPR worked well for that one. fantastic pass from Chaussette, but the tying goal
Oh,
and the winning goal, both extremely lackluster defense from Endpoint. Semper 3 overtimes in a row, now 3 match points as well.
And some people at home, Johnny, might be wondering, why are we not having the same criticisms about Castillo? Because there was another infield pass that might be able to see Castillo was able to potentially jump up for it, but the difference is that Castillo was under pressure. Castillo had to decide, is this going straight to the player, or is he going to try and demo me and they're going to leave it for something else?
And it was a quick one as well.
Exactly.
It was a play that could have realistically been a shot, it could have been a backboard play.
But as you were saying, for Metza, it was the only play on the board.
It was the only play that made sense, so that's why he's got to see it coming. Chaussette's floating in the air, and if he gets the perfect touch, yeah, maybe he's able to shoot that on target threateningly, but likely infield pass. Semper, happy to see Metz misread the situation. Continue their overtime streak. They've taken 7 overtimes in a row between wildcard and today, 3 of them in this series alone.
They've got the ice. Have they got the series? Semper put game 1 right behind them, and ever since then have been going from form to form. And Endpoint have been helping them with that a little bit. Relating Wave sees that there's quite a few down that side of the field, but the difference between Relating Wave, a lot of players out there, is he'll see 2 players in one side, and he'll say, I'll have a bit of that. Leaves himself on those challenges. Nice from Exotic to find a little bit of space. Castillo's block only as far as Relating Wave. 1-0 Endpoint.
Pressure play from Endpoint. Grabs them in the early goal. Exotic wanted a 50, couldn't get it. Castillo tried to deflect the ball into the corner. He also fails to do so. Endpoint take another lead. They've had quite a few of them this series. Both teams have struggled to hold on to leads that they've gathered for themselves. Just surprising. I mean, I think Endpoint, when they're up by 2, I usually feel pretty comfortable about how they're playing, but today it's been a little bit more ropey, and Semper as well. Definitely a high-pressure situation. Once they made it into overtime, they've been a lot more consistent. It's about regulation-type defending. That's where it's been a bit less easy for Semper to hold on.
Boom and clear by Archie. Those do not have the same effect that they had earlier on. Semper happy to just cover off those angles. Castillo to Exotic. How well communicated is that by Semper? Endpoint trying to give them a little bit of the same. Semper just a step ahead at the moment. Metz would have liked to have seen that pass get over to him. Instead, it's Archie. Wants to go the whole way. Almost did it. Crossbar denied. But Relating Wave has a second.
And Archie does enough. Just gets it over the top of the first man, keeps control, and then crucially keeps the ball in front of the goal as well. Big time dunk by Archie. Another 2-goal lead for Endpoint. Semper have come back from this scoreline before. Let's see if they can do it again.
For me, this position now is all about Endpoint not making mistakes. They've gave up some very silly ones. In field. Make Semper work for it. But know that when they get into that stalemate, both teams struggle to score, so why not utilize that for yourself? Castillo called off by Exotic. Archie and Exotic has been just truly fascinating. Oh my goodness, an Exotic! Just loitered, threatened the demo, and parked the car, ready and waiting for the pass.
Yeah, look at this, Exotic boost steal, bumps Metz away, and then he's also there to slot in the center ball. But that's been a great little team play from Semper. The timing of the arrival of the ball could not have been any better. It arrived just at the moment that Metz is bumped out of the play. Semper noticed an opening, and they take it without any hesitation. Exotic continues to impress in a matchup that he'll care a whole lot about. When Archie was sniped by Endpoint from Semper, the general consensus was he would be irreplaceable. Exotic has replaced him. Not just literally, but in every sense. He's been that guy for Semper.
And Semper have tried to come into this tournament with a little bit of a different look, because it was originally a 1-to-1 replacement. That wasn't quite working for them towards the latter stages of the season. They tried to offload a little bit more responsibility to Castillo and Chaussette. And here you go. This is the results for it. A team that nobody was rating going into the wildcard, fully in control of the series, but not in control of this game.
Yeah, not in control of their boost in the back corner there. They've failed a couple of times to just generate time. get that 50-50 to stall long enough to get someone on the ball and somebody backing them up. Something that SMPR have done very well all the way through this tournament. Challenging the ball as a team. Just lunging forward and hoping to get a big time block. Having someone ready in reserve who can advance as soon as Endpoint lose control of the ball. So just taking his time here. Plays for the back corner boost, gets taken out of the game. I think this is the first time we've seen Endpoint respond after their lead starts to crumble. Here they go again, and Metzdenoris will slot a top corner redirect. It looked like the keeper got a touch. It wasn't enough.
It's a brand new look to Metza. That's so good. Forced the goalkeeper to just respect the possibility that Metza could have found top corner, and I do not blame them for that one. They're already squeezing past, but 4-1. Endpoint have answered. Are they walking towards their second game win? Or if SMPR got something left in the back pocket, Chaussette tries to peek around on the far side, as Exotic might actually go for him here. 1-2 pass, no, just a little bit too far ahead of Chaussette. Wants to maybe go the entire way, but Archie pins the ball out of the angle. Is this game now gone for SMPR? They need to score very soon if they're going to make anything of this. But Endpoint, when they have these sorts of leads, do tend to just extend them. Come back down, relating wave, causes a little bit of trouble there from Exotic. Metza back in. There is a confidence in Metza that I have not seen in years.
Yeah, he's back. He started off the series very well. I think he had a bit of a blip in the middle, but looks to be back in game 5. Not a moment too late. SMPR still piling forward. Got options far side. Late wave's got it covered. It looks like Endpoint will get over the finish line in game 5. SMPR have not scored enough of their chances. Here's another one. They do get this one.
Hold on.
And we've got time left. That had to go in. This was their really getting to their last chance territory. If they can get a volatile kickoff, that will favor SMPR. They might try something risky here. Everybody's spawning in the middle. We've got options. SMPR do just play it standard. It's a close cheat though. You can see.
Oh, Archie's missed it!
Oh, he's missed! Archie gets back to it, but that's not going to do it. A huge blunder in defense. Archie panic flips on a free ball. And SMPR are back within 1.
Feels backflip at the worst possible time. 22 seconds left. SMPR about to full send. Cassio misses it, but it does now bring in their third man. Archie gets bumped out of the way as well. Now up to Exotic, low boost. Bounces down, Archie, oh, that's so well played. Can they add another one? Metza to finish it off, but now it's all up to Relating Wave at the back. How's he gonna play a slow or boom? Chooses the boom towards Archie. SMPR have to go coast to coast. Can they do it? Chaussette, up the wall, Exotic. Sees a couple of players around, but they're not going to create the play. Endpoint didn't make it easy on themselves, but they are still in it.
My goodness, Endpoint really did make that difficult for themselves.
They just give away, like, I don't know if they think they're playing with a handicap, if they just have to give away like 1 or 2 goals every single game and bring SMPR back into it. Like, imagine this series with Endpoint not tripping up on themselves.
I just can't believe Endpoint close cheated in the last kickoff. I can tell you why SMPR did it. They're trailing by 2. They need to take that risk. They tried a dead ball kickoff or a big win, and the close cheat combined, quickly pounced on the ball, and slowly shot on target. Now, Endpoint should have been fine. Archie did turn back towards the net, and he would have had the save if he didn't panic flip, but the fact that he's even just got to make a save solo did worry me. Because it didn't have to be a slow shot. There's plenty other variations of this that come more quickly towards the goal. Close cheat is a risky strategy. Endpoint nearly got punished for opting for it there. And they just hung on long enough to send us into game 6.
How confident are you in this one going to 7? I'm confident we're going to see at least 4 goals.
I'll be honest, I'm not. I wish I could say I am, but Endpoint have looked so inconsistent today. They've had their big moments. I think at times they've looked like they're just really putting it together and starting to connect in a way that we've not really seen from them in LAN. But they've had big defensive mistakes in quite a few games in a row now. SMPR, for me, have been the more consistent team. They've won every single overtime. They can just make it to another one. I'm not betting against them.
Well, let's see if a Champions Field will go next. 5 minutes to find out which one it's going to be. Pass from Relating Wave. Can he find the angle? Oh! Goodness! Relating Wave!
Huge play from Wave. He was right there. As soon as Metsonoris popped the ball up in the air. But finished it off in style. It's not like that first touch was easy to catch up on. Now here he goes again. 1v1 Chaussette, who's got his number.
And it's the play that just adds to the frustration if you're an Endpoint fan, because you see stuff like that, and you see how they've been conceding, and you realize that they have the makeup there of a world-class team. Now they have to keep this up. Metza can't find a block. Castillo doesn't want any of Relating Wave in the mid-air challenge. Takes it around him. Archie, not with a setup to anybody. Endpoint holding back for now. It's been a fascinating matchup in the midfield. Here we go! Oh. Castillo! If you want the ball to fall to anybody, it's that guy!
Well, Metsonoris didn't get the ball past Exotic, but you've got to get someone else into the middle there. I mean, what are Endpoint doing with two defenders that close to the ball and no one is jumping in front of the shot? That's just poor defense from Endpoint once again. They're in a world of trouble. Exotic's faking, and he's scoring immediately off the kickoff. Endpoint have been good enough in defense. I mean, in offense. Their defense, though, has just not been up to the task. What a play from Exotic, who's been the man of the match so far.
And to start this game off and to end the last one, it is the kickoffs that have really started to show themselves through. Chaussette, if that was on target, would have been able to add another one. But Endpoint's high-flying start completely evaporated. They've now got to try and climb back into this. Relating Wave delayed his attempted challenge, but Cassio's still able to avoid. Archie to Relating Wave. Wants to go the entire way. He's got a little bit of support. Pops off the backboard. It's going to be up to Archie. Doesn't find the shot on target. There was a hive mind of orange cars flailing everywhere. Couldn't quite guide it past them. That is so cheeky by Chaussette. What a goal it would have been. Instead, we stay at 2-1.
Endpoint definitely had a good opportunity there. SMPR, likewise. The tricks are coming out at the tail end of the series. Don't have any doubt in Endpoint's ability to create realistic opportunities on net. I'm more worried about this goals that they're conceding. They're coming in rapidly, just a bit too easily, especially at the tail end of games for my liking. This is the moment that Endpoint have to figure out a way to continue this offensive pressure without defensive mistakes, and they've done it. Relating Wave underneath Chaussette for 2-2.
If there's anyone that is stepping up, it is Relating Wave. Sets up the first, puts in the second, and it has been the bread and butter for Endpoint throughout the entirety of this series. Put the ball into midfield and then use the passing player to put pressure on the goalkeeper. 2 each. Champions Field still beckons, but it is up to Endpoint to find the consistency. As Exotic up against Archie. What a challenge that is from an Archie that was on low boost. Might even keep this going. Endpoint's transitions continue to be good. Relating Wave. Is he going to be that talisman for Endpoint in this game? He's dragged them back into it. Now they need one more. But for SMPR, I really don't think you change anything, because if you do, there's no real need. Endpoint at any moment could just capitulate. We've seen that.
Yeah, I mean, Endpoint have had defensive mistakes in every game that we've seen since game one. So SMPR are just going to continue grinding out goals, just grinding out this midfield battle, and they're quite happy to go to OT, undefeated in this series, undefeated in this tournament. Once games go to overtime, they wait patiently. Just let the clock tick down. Hope for another Endpoint mistake.
Fort Worth wants 7. Relating Wave wants 7. It's not going to get it off that setup. But SMPR have not been able to utilize the midfield challenges. They don't have the boost to even go over that way. Off the backboard. Endpoint not looking for that killer blow just yet. Just keep setting up, keep stealing the boost, wait for the opportunity. Although that from Exotic undoes all the good work that we saw previously.
Whoa!
Has so much power. Where's the follow? As Archie sacrifices his car to make sure his team is still in it.
Yeah, Exotic is just doing so much at the moment, but he's not chain dashing here, letting Casio actually take the back wall defensive duties. Endpoint, despite all of their territory in this game, still unable to put that lead back on the scoreboard ever since they got the 1-0 taken away from them early on in this game.
And SMPR are just going to keep asking the question. Chaussette, not allowed to do the flip reset. Not something that any team should ever allow Chaussette to do, but Exotic tries to drop it down.
Wow!
Interception! Fort Worth! You might get your wish!
Relating Wave reads the play. He reads the infield pass, and he slots the open net across the pitch. 34 seconds remaining. SMPR have looked deadly on the kickoffs, but this one's good for Endpoint.
They go straight for the shot!
Oh! It's good.
Oh, it's real good. 4-2, Endpoint, with everything to play for, and they played for it. You question why they went heavy on the cheat last time, Johnny. I think the question was still very viable here, but hey, if it works, it works.
I'm like not a fan of it as somebody who wants to see a game 7 here, but they've made it work that time. It's just simply a risky strategy. The close cheat is volatile. If you're winning, that's not really what you want. You want just a controlled ending to the game. Right now, that's what Endpoint are going to get. One more clear will do the trick, and that should do the trick. Endpoint rally back. They avoid overtimes, and they win 2 straight to send us into Champions Field.
We start as we mean to go on. This is the one, Johnny, that not only have we all shown up for, the players have shown up for, but so many people watching Rocket League Esports for the first time ever, joining us for this World Championship. If you're out there asking, is it always like this? My answer to you is very simple. Yes, it is. We do not do boring at this esports.
It's just constant tension. It's constant pressure on the players. We've seen this series how quickly a small mistake can completely deteriorate into a goal. SMPR have called a timeout. That's no surprise. Whether they choose to switch up the strategy remains to be seen. I think they might now. They've been waiting for mistakes. They've been playing that strategy that got them back into the series, preying on Endpoint's inconsistencies. But now Endpoint have closed out 2 games, and that second one pretty comfortably. So
yeah.
Is it time for SMPR to just send it? Just try and play a more aggressive strategy instead of sitting back, letting Endpoint come at them? We might see a more aggressive stance. They've been in a game 7 before. They took down Space Station in this exact same setting. So they're not going to be uncomfortable. And coming off a timeout, statistically, is massively favorable. Didn't work out for Endpoint earlier on today, but it tends to most of the time in these high-pressure situations.
Me and you, Johnny, we talk an awful lot, and I've told you very often about how I don't like it when teams necessarily change their play style, when the options are when the stakes get a lot higher. But this is the rare occasion where I kind of want to make an exception because, as you mentioned, Endpoint are not making those mistakes anymore. If the original idea was just to watch Endpoint fizzle out and put themselves in the lower bracket, that is now gone. It is time to go to Champions Field and not come out of this game feeling like you didn't try and leave everything on the board.
I think Endpoint will be happy that they've made it this far. They've had horrendous matchups, 11 game losses in a row before this series. The fact that they've made it all the way to game 7 against us, SMPR, who are in form, who are coming hot out of the wildcard, undefeated. This is already, I'd say, a pretty good result for Endpoint, but they're not going to be satisfied without that win. They want to prove that that 3rd seed for EU is deserved. They come in here as an auto-qualified team, and they want to advance into the top 12. Every win in the group stage gets you more money, it gets you farther in the tournament, and it gives you a chance of making it back just a little bit closer to the playoffs at the very last day, where it all culminates in the arena.
Our first match, our first Game 7, our first time to Champions Field. Let's see who is going through in the upper bracket. It's up to Jose. High flying start. Wave. He sent them to this game. They couldn't keep it out for long enough though. Cassio top bins.
Well, that's heroics from Relating Wave, who read the infield pass to send Endpoint into this Game 7. But Metsunoris couldn't recover quickly enough to follow up. He needed to be there. He needed to block that follow-up shot. Archie hasn't rotated back yet. Cassio beats into it. Already SMPR have got that lead. I mean, just keep on. It keeps on happening. As soon as the timeout is called, it's an immediate buff to whoever takes it.
And typically it was Endpoint that became synonymous with the timeout buff. This time around it's for SMPR. Only halfway into our opening minute. Relating Wave doesn't want to go for it, but that boost doesn't spawn for him either. So can't quite steal it. Here's your goal scorer, Cassio, ends up leaving it for Josette. I love that SMPR just leave the options open. Endpoint have had to hit so deep when they want to try and hold onto the midfield because SMPR has got so many choices. Pass it to the wall, take it in the air dribble it, or just drop it down to whoever's on the goal line. SMPR will need more of that because Endpoint are going to throw everything that they have got. Exotic, asking an awful lot of himself, but hey, got the confidence. And on his day, he definitely nails those sorts of shots. Now called in to perform some defensive duty. Josette with a transition. Steals 100 boost in that midfield as well, so we can stick on with this. That's over to Cassio. And Exotic, yeah, this is going back corner. Buy some time, get everyone back in.
Archie's still reeling from a missed corner boost though. He's still looking for pads anywhere. He can't get it, and now the 100 gets stolen right in front of him. Just a small mistake, but it leads to so much pressure. And further down the line, it is SMPR who scored. We saw Archie miss a back left boost a while ago, and then he drove around the pitch looking for anything, couldn't find it. That small mistake, it's a part of this goal. It's not the only thing that led to this goal, but little things like that eventually they can come back to bite you.
Well, anybody that's ever tried to analyze games at this level knows that most of these goals start 15 seconds. You always find something that is the catalyst.
Oh my.
And that definitely was the catalyst. Oh, Endpoint, that was your series right there. They'll be happy that at least it was too high up. Almost half the game gone already. They find themselves 2 goals down. It might get even worse. Cassio off the backboard. Archie, good read. Josette, straight on from the challenge from Archie. Relating Wave, he had a brilliant Game 6. He needs more of that in Game 7. But they're not finding anything. 3-0! Hat-trick hero for Cassio.
SMPR are not messing around. Exotic over the top of one after controlling the first man for Endpoint. And with a lob pass like that, the third man for Endpoint has absolutely no chance. The nation of France, who have produced so many world-class players, so many World Championship runs in the past, they've got another team who are doing just that. They have got Endpoint halfway out of the ring, and they're still punching them.
Towards the ceiling. Big question here for Archie. You need to provide. Gets the setup. It was a bit of an awkward angle to take the shot from. Metzer had to just drive straight upwards. Could not run onto it to generate any power. Archie again looks to choose to be provider, but how early was that? That was almost pre-jumped, knowing exactly to go high on the challenge.
Relating Waves missed the demo there. That allows
that's
to
free
get
fall.
back. It is going to be 4. It's Cassio again. Endpoint stretch themselves thin, trying to get something. But Josette manages to launch the ball clear off his own back wall. Metsunoris with a high line, expected with a 3-goal deficit. Too far up the field to get back.
Endpoint losing their last 4 Game 7s this season. Very likely that this is about to be 5. They lost every single overtime in this. SMPR have won now 7 overtimes in a row. It is a clear difference in the ice for either of these teams.
Yeah.
And it might be even worse. Off the backboard, Archie low boost, still can get contact. If there's even a sliver of a chance that we can have anything from this game, it needs to come from this from Metzer. Delays, and delays too long.
Josette just continues to prove that he can roll back the years. Once the undisputed best player in the world. The man who started the Fennec popularity that still continues to this day and is even played out on this pitch in front of us by several in this lobby. He is now back in form after a couple of disappointing seasons overall. There's just something about the World Championship. Brings out the best in certain players. Endpoint are not putting it together in the final third here. They've had opportunities, but they're not connecting the dots. The passes are coming too high, too slow. Approaches are coming at the wrong time. SMPR, meanwhile, have been fantastic.
And how cathartic is this for Casio and for Chaussette?
Top 12.
Season 8 was not their tournament. Both teams, especially Chaussette with Reciprocity coming with so much hype behind them. This is the one where it's the opposite. There's no shot, surely. There's no shot. Endpoint, please just
I'm going to be
full stand on the kickoff.
I'm going to be completely honest. Endpoint's kickoffs have not looked to me like the best kickoffs today, so I don't know how on earth they're going to score 3. Let's see what they've got planned. It is a close cheat and a win, but Casio's there for it. He's ready for anything, and that should do it for SMPR, who go 4 wins in a row, 2 Game 7s in a row, 1 over SSG, 1 over Endpoint. And Endpoint fought back bravely, but once they made it to Champions Field, they were no match for the ferocious SMPR, whose form looks unstoppable.
And SMPR as an org will look at this series and think, this was crisis. They lost Archie. They had to find a way to save their season. Save their season they did. Casio, 5 goals to his name. SMPR are through.
We're going to see them in a couple days' time in that upper round 2 matchup. They'll find out later on today who they're going to be playing in that matchup.
This thing I know. I knew.
They've got the mental edge. They've got the ice. They've figured out how to perform at their highest level when it matters most, at the World Championship, in Game 7, in overtimes. It is SMPR who are thriving and their opponents who are suffering because of it. Endpoint need to wait until Friday. They'll play in front of the 13,000 packed out Dickies Arena crowd in lower round 1 for their tournament life.
We never said it was going to be easy, did we? And Endpoint, at times, didn't make it any easier. Some goals that they will look back on and just wonder what could have been.
It's the defense. I mean, Endpoint, they were threatening an attack, but the defense just was not good enough at this level. Against a team like SMPR, you need to make them work for goals. You can't be giving away free goals as often as Endpoint did.
Casio came into Game 7, scored his fabulous 5. Looked every bit of the player that we knew him to be. If you give him the opportunity, he is always going to turn it into the back of the net. But this was a series as well for SMPR that sort of encapsulated what has been their sort of change. It was not a one-to-one replacement for Exotic. Everybody did their part on the field. Exotic, beautiful at facilitating. Chaussette, amazing at the transition. And Casio hits the ball really hard into your top corner.
They just did exactly what they've got to do. And you know, we're talking about how do you fix a failing season? Well, just go full French.
Well, let's talk to the 5-goal scorer himself. Orb is with Casio.
That is right, guys. Thank you so much. Yep, give it up, please. By all means, give it up. Casio, you're just coming off of the first series of the day here. We're talking a Game 7, all right? How did that feel? Talk us through that match.
It was a bit scary. We were leading like 3-1 on the series, and then we got our nerves that came to us a bit, so we were a bit too nervous. Just I remember like a game where I like missed like 2 dribbles at the time, so then I was like a bit mad at myself and stuff. And then on like the Game 7, it was like really tense, and we were just like, we just gotta play our game, just like go on the ball, try to play like before, and then it will go good.
I mean, I met you guys on the shuttle in, all right? We fist bumped a little bit. You guys looked very calm. You guys are saying there was a little bit of nerves here. Is that what's coming out here when you're on stage in front of all these people?
Basically, whenever you have like the game that if you win that game, then you won the series. Then obviously this game is like much more important, and you start thinking about it sometimes a bit like, oh, if I pop that game, or oh, if we play well this one, then it's in. We have 2 chances. So definitely, like we may have looked at like calm, like that last game we were pretty calm, but like the 2 last game were like a bit chaotic, I think.
So is there anything you guys are doing to kind of stay cool, calm, and collected out there?
We say the same. Basically, we say like the thing we've been doing. Like we make like a recap of what we need to do, and like personally, then I try to breathe on a specific way, so I like calm my heart rate. So then, whenever I'm having a lot of stress, then I try to do that basically.
All right, well, you heard it here first from Cassio here. The first game of the day is done. The first series of the day is done. And next up, we got BDS versus Renegades.